This is Pio Johansson from Sweden. And Pio, what's the title of your painting?
Baby Grace Blue.
Baby Grace Blue. And how did you come up with the concept for the fetus?
Well, I believe she was the victim, and I tried to make it obvious that it sticks out, but she ain't got anywhere to go, really.
And you have a very interesting background. You're not actually studying painting, you're studying architecture.
Yeah.
And how did you make that connection?
We have a little bit of art in the school, really, but it ain't our main subject. Mm-hmm. So this is a little hobby of mine.
And what artists through art history have influenced your work?
I like Picasso and Matisse, but I'm not sure it can be seen in this.
And how does this fetus tie in with the storyline of the Outside album?
Baby Grace under pressure, isolated, sticking out, and have no...
And the future?
The future?
For your career?
Well, successful architect in Sweden, I hope.
남자친구가 데이비 보위의 매니아예요. 그래서 친구한테 아웃사이드 앨범을 선물을 받고 그리고서는 흥미가 있어서 참가하게 됐습니다.
Actually, her boyfriend is David Bowie mania, and her boyfriend bought the Outside album for her, and she listened it and she became loved it, so she decided to participate in this art competition.
Did you get any direct inspiration from any of the characters within the album?
인간이 내재하는 그런 세계를 갖다가 아웃사이드에 맞춰가지고 이렇게 표출을 했습니다.
She is inspired by the Nathan Adler, and she thinks all the man has got the both sides, inside and outside, all the characters. And she says sometimes, generally, we don't want to express our inside feeling, but she wanted to express the inside feeling outside of her.
Okay, so it's the inside as opposed to the outside.
Right.
It's very interesting. Okay, thank you very much. How does this computer graphic illustration relate to the history behind the album Outside?
自分の表現できる一番そのインスピレーションを一番表現できるのがコンピューターグラフィックやと。
Computer is the best way for him to express the feeling and impression about the album Outside.
And there's a lot of computer imagery within the album Outside. Did you draw any inspiration from that?
なんかOutside のアルバムからなんかそのコンピューターグラフィックのインスピレーション出たものって具体的になんかあります？
いや、コンピューターグラフィックというかこのイメージを表現するのに一番適してたのがコンピューターだったと。
だけど特にそのアルバムの中でなんか聞いてなんかコンピューターを連想するものとか。
いや、なんていうのかな、アルバム自体が21世紀っぽかったからそこでコンピューターグラフィックを使いました。
The album Outside remind him the kind of future of image of future, and so in his mind that image connected to a computer.
What inspired you from the Bowie album to make this painting?
I just heard the album and I liked it, but I can't say it's just illustration of the outside. I heard David Bowie said his album is actually mostly sound of 95, so I would say this is a picture of 95.
And can you tell me, is there any specific character that's related to this painting within the narrative that runs in the Bowie album?
It's just Beep is just totally outside.
Totally outside. And can you tell me, how did you get involved in the competition?
I'm sorry.
How did you get involved in the competition? How did you hear about it?
Yeah, one friend of mine told me that this competition is running, so I said, okay, sounds good.
Can you tell me how you got the idea for putting the book and incorporating that with the texture and the computer chips?
Okay. The book was a 2-week journal which I kept of just stuff that I found off the floor, going through rubbish bins, things I heard on TV, images I made, and I just bound them all together. So it's a 2-week journal of being an outsider.
And how did you feel that this related to the album for David Bowie?
Well, the album was the Nathan Adler Diary, and this is sort of, that's like a musical, lyrical version, and this is my found, stolen, printed matter version.
It's called Angel.
Angel, can you tell me, how does it relate to the narrative of the Bowie album?
It's in a wider circle. Like, I'm very interested in painting that comes out from a form of art that is more extended, that it includes music and other kind of art things. And I also did some other things that are, with music and performances and everything like this. So my painting comes out of that, and that's the main interest I got here. Like, David Bowie is also interested in a more extended art. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in that this is not only a music album, but it's a whole form of art where all influences come together and they try to make an extra form of Gesamtkunstwerk in that kind of thing. And that it's not only, like these music albums, but there is story and there is some greater things around there.
How did you feel like this work related to the Outside album?
I think in Outside, people is very non-emotional, cut up from themselves, from their organic constitutions. They very much cut up. They all, like computerized, very cold souls, no souls anymore. Actually, just like like a machine, and that's the way they think as well. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel in Mr. Touchstick and Ramona, and well, they don't have feelings anymore. And I think that's very much what you see in nowadays society. People start just working on advertising, the media, everything is like, well, you shouldn't feel anymore, you shouldn't think anymore, just follow the mainstream and pretend you're nobody, then you're somebody. I mean, that's a bit, well, what you see happen, Generation X like things and stuff, and that's very much how I base my work on. When people are living in my neighborhood, I see them completely collapse because they don't have touch with themselves anymore, and so they don't feel anymore.
And Laszlo, your painting has a lot of texture. You incorporate a lot of different elements into the painting. There's fabric, there's stone, there's sand. Yeah. Can you tell me why you do that?
Az őserőket érzem a Bowie-nak az új lemezében.
He feels ancient forces in Bowie's latest works, so that's why he put together some very raw
Szóval a kultúrának azt a fajta igénylését, amikor az ember még nem távolodott el a humánumtól, meg az ember központoságból, és a gépekkel szembeni harc. Szóval a gépemberré nem kell válni, de ahogy csinálja az ember a zenéjét, akkor azonosul ezzel a ténnyel is.
Okay, so he feels that Bowie is still at a point where human things are still close to him, and not going into this whole machinery, and he's just at the middle point, at the balance.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody. This is really a very special day to be here in Paris this afternoon to judge and announce the final winner of the global art competition that BMG has organized in connection with David Bowie's latest album, Outside. My name is Christoph Rucker. I'm from BMG New York, And my team and myself, we actually organized this function here and this competition. And before we come to the announcement, I would like to say a couple of words how this whole thing started and how this whole competition came about. It was actually in summer last year in New York. We had gathered in New York for a meeting to discuss plans how we would launch the new album of David. And a lot of ideas were thrown around amongst the people. And we all got very inspired by the album, not only the music, but the visual background, and also the story, the diary of Nathan Adler, as you all know. And one of the ideas that was from South Africa that came up was to organize an art competition, to post that competition in local universities and art schools and come up with a winner. Everybody liked it, the whole world was present there, from BMG, all the people that are in marketing and in promotion and publicity. And everybody liked the ideas, so we thought of making it a global thing, and we presented it to David. And from the very first moment he heard about it, he was very, very supportive and very excited about it and encouraged us to do that, which we in fact did. So having achieved that, we thought like, okay, we need a prize. And it is quite a long story in the BMG tradition to fund art events and socially conscious events. And so we provide a prize, which the winner today is going to be donated a prize for a scholarship worth $25,000 for the further education of the winner of all these pieces that are exposed here today. 11 countries eventually participated in this competition, and you have all seen these pieces here for the last 2 hours. On a worldwide basis, we got more than 1,000 pieces in here, and I'd like to thank Linda Demura from my office and Nathalie Marcenier from our French office, who have been instrumental in organizing this event, and they actually are the people that really put that all together. Thank you very much. All right, I'm almost done. But before we come to the announcement, a few words to the judges. For those of you who are familiar with the diary of Nathan Adler, know that in his search to investigate the murder of baby Grace, the question is raised, it was definitely murder, but was it art? And in this piece there's a reference made to renowned artist and one of the founding members of the Austrian actionist, Hermann Nietzsche, and he in fact has rescheduled his vacation, and he also agreed and was very excited to be here today and to be one of the judges. And the other judge, of course, I don't need to say too many words about him, David Bowie. He's here with us today as well. And without any further ado, please let me welcome, and please let's give a big round of applause, and let's bring out here Hermann Nietzsche and David Bowie to make the final announcement.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for everybody for coming, and most particularly thank you very much indeed for all the people who are participating in this and have done such excellent work. It's really quite formidable, and I feel quite strange about being put in a position to judge work. I'm not sure judgment is a good phrase for it, because one is sort of moved by every piece. So I guess I had to go back to what it is that I look for in something that I would collect or something that I would respond to. Generally, it's a set of triggers. What is familiar about the piece and what is unfamiliar about the piece. and what is the tension that's set up between the two, and therefore what kind of personal dialogue you can have with it. The work is absolutely extraordinary. I think it's really, really good. 2 or 3 I'll mention in a minute. It was very, very hard to come to a decision, but I think both Herman and I automatically came to the same choice, which is extremely fortunate. And I would, on that note, like to hand you over to Herman. Herman will speak in German, but it'll be translated. I'll be back in a minute.
Ich möchte gerne ganz kurz über die Auswahlkriterien sprechen.
I just want to talk for a second about the selection criteria.
Das oberste Prinzip, glaube ich, für uns alle war eine gewisse formale Gediegenheit. Es sollte eben Kunst gehen.
Well, the overall principle was to define the overall artist status of all works that have been presented and are presented here today.
Und dann war natürlich der Bezug zu David Bowies Werk ganz wichtig.
The connection with the album and the story of the album was another very important selection criteria of defining and finding the winner. And now to the announcement of the final winner.
If you don't mind, there's 2 or 3 pieces I'd like to particularly pick out. This is completely unfair, I know. There's a fine piece of graphics from Japan by Yoshizaki-san. It's really very good. There's a nice piece by Ellie Gar from South Africa that particularly had a kind of stimulating thing for me, as I've just gotten back from South Africa earlier actually last year. Was really intrigued about the new work that's being done there. And a very late arrival, but I thought was particularly strong, was in the UK, Charlotte Baker Wilbraham, which I thought was really quite savage and scared the shit out of me, actually. But the winner, no doubt, and this is the irony of life itself, is the one person who couldn't make it here today, unfortunately, is Mr. Joseph Lee Alvear of the Philippines, who did the work. And on that note, I'm not really sure who I'm supposed to give this to right now. I presume that I shall leave it in your safe hands, Christoph.
Each and every participant in the competition had to answer in their own words a few questions related to the work that they transmitted, the work that they provided. And one of the questions was, the creation, the winner should explain in his own words how the idea was born for the art piece and what it symbolizes in relation to his interpretation of outside. And Joseph from the Philippines interpreted the piece, as you can see over there, in the following way. The art piece represents the gore of the album's contents, death and the destruction of man. The crime artist creeps to the inside of his medium, or can we say victim? By the use of tubes and a syringe, he extracts life and replaces it with death. With no remorse seen in his eyes, just the excitement of seeing pain and suffering. The new generation of artists acts like gods, not because they create, but they destroy. We will forward the prize within the next couple of days and inform Joseph, of course. Thank you very much.
I'd like to once again thank Christoph very much and thank Herman Nietzsche for breaking his vocation and coming on here. Thanks, Herman. Appreciate it.